welcome to another Watch with Ray! Spooky edition. I don't know, it's pretty all the same edition. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I'm a little hyper. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but it's okay. So I watched a movie, guys. I watched a movie the other night. I really enjoyed it. Spoiler alert, but so I'd seen online that there was this Brooklyn 45 going around. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it looked kind of like the cover of it. I was like, I don't know if I feel about this cover. And then another podcast that I listened to, or that like was reviewing it. I'm like, well, maybe I'll take I didn't listen to the review, so I don't know what they thought of it. I tend not to do that until after we've done our show, because I want to get influenced by what they thought. Movie I reviewed or I watched was Brooklyn 45, and it I can give you. I'm trying to think of how I should do this, because I did like it and I want to recommend it. So I'm not going to get too far into it, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a summary of like how we get into the movie. Then I'll give you what I liked, what I didn't like about it, and then we'll peace out for this thing, okay? So I'm trying not to keep you here too long. First, we have a gathering. A gathering, it's supposed to be right after the end of the war. We still, like, I'm going to say probably 46, 47. I don't know if it says 45. So it's got to be literally that. Wow. Or unless they're talking about the war. I don't know. It didn't seem like... Okay, first off, one thing I didn't like about this movie, these people looked way too old to be just coming out of the army. Just coming out of World War II. Like, too old. Sorry. Like, I'm the one character... So one of the leads is Larry Fessenden, and he is 50-something. Yeah, no, almost 60. I mean, and Anne Ramsey is in her 60s. Yeah, it was not really believable. I'm sorry. Probably the only one that was kind of believable was Jeremy Holm, because he's in his 50s, but he looks a little bit younger. I don't know. It was a little bit of suspension of disbelief, but they're all great. So that's the thing, is like everybody in this movie is fucking hitting it out of the park. Especially Larry Fessenden. Holy shit. So anyhow, gathering of like childhood friends who are also like army buddies. Marla Hooch. Marla Sheridan. What a hitter. Marla is an interrogator, actually. And a torturer. But that's what she had done during the war. So, and she's married to Bob. Bob is like just a clerk at the Pentagon, because that's where Marla works now. And she's got a cane because one of the building that she was in exploded, or was bombed by the Krauts. We keep saying the Krauts so much. I was like, this is such a fucking slur. But I mean, sentiment. I mean, we're getting into some pretty heavy shit in this movie, so buckle up, guys. Lots of German anti-German, because we're coming out of the war. So, but buckle up. So, also, if you do not know who Anne Ramsey is, she's Helen Haley from A League of Their Own. I loved her in A League of Their Own. So good. Archie, who is played by Jeremy Holm, is a war criminal. So there's that. Bob doesn't like Archie. I think he thinks that Archie's got the hots for Marla, always has. No. Archie's gay. We find out that because the F word gets thrown out all over the place. Ha ha, funny. Ha 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 ha. No. On this momentous month of Pride, no. Definitely no. But I did like to see that there was like there was a lead gay character that was kind of like accepted by his friends. Too bad he's a war criminal, so that's their drawback there. Whoa. Then they're meeting because Hawk, who is Clive like Hawkstatter, who's played by Larry Fessenden, and there's another character, Paul DeFranco, and that comes into play, like why I'm saying his last name, because he's Italian, and that comes into play at some point. So they come to congregate because Clive is not doing so well. His wife offed herself 6 weeks prior. because she thought she was losing her mind, and unfortunately, and she thought that her neighbor was a Nazi, she's a just German American citizen. Hawk is going to perform a seance and get them all to like conjure up the spirit and try to contact Susie. Susie's his dead wife. So they're sitting around and no one's really believing this, especially Paul. Paul's having a hard time dealing with this. He's like, this is bullshit. I do not want to handle it. And Hawk is kind of, he kind of like sadly persuades them all to perform the seance. And he says, like, once they've started it, they can't stop because then it's like an open door and anything can come through. I'm gonna say honestly, this is a very much a. I was trying to think of the fucking term for it, and it's a chamber drama because it takes, or like a parlor drama because it takes place in this room. This is the only set that we have here, and part of it's paranormal, and part of it is just PTSD, dealing with that, trauma, stereotypes, putting your expectations or your beliefs and impressing on a person just because of their background, that sort of thing. And also there's a ghost. Like it's like we want to be a drama so bad, but also spooky. So they start the seance, and something comes through, big spooky, like there's doors are banging and candles are flickering. An arm comes out of, like, a spooky spirit arm comes out of this like mirror that they got on the table. Special effects are great here. When they start the seance, Hawk pulls out, I don't know, her Susie's bloody handkerchief that I think she did the down for death, I think. So there's this bloody handkerchief that was hers, and inside of it was a locket. So he's taken a piece of the handkerchief and shoved it into the locket. He's ready to roll. Okay, Clive, or Hawk, that's real emotionally healthy. Again, it's been 6 weeks. Like, I think they're all expecting. Well, I mean, I guess it's probably the time period is kind of like stiff upper lip, like the English did, or like, just kind of bootstraps bullshit. Hence the reason we have 50s dad still that we're dealing with. Let's not deal with trauma. Let's just fucking bury it down. But the way you're gonna deal with trauma is like resurrecting the dead. Excellent. Sounds like a plan. So they do touch the spirit realm. And unfortunately, Hawk gets a little too excited and reaches for Susie, breaking the seance. It's a bad move. Bad move! But he has in his mind that now he knows there is life beyond our mortal borders. Outside of that mortal coil that exists is life. We still go on because he heard Susie's voice. He saw her arm. All creepy and ectoplasmy. Oh, he also pukes up some ectoplasm, which was gross, but awesome! It just looked like he splooged all over the table. It was really funny. Anywho, zilbies. He is now satisfied, somewhat, that he has got in touch with the spirit realm. He knows there's something after this existence, and he will be with Susie again. So he just pops and fucking blows his brains out. It was fucking awesome. I mean, not, but you know what I'm like. The special effects were brilliant here. You see, fucking, and at one point, Paul's trying to put his the fucking hole back in his trying to squish it together, like he's gonna I'll just like sew it up, it'll be fine. I'm just gonna put your brain case back together, get some glue. Nope, that's not how it works, Paul. That's not how brains and heads work. So they're freaking out because also he's locked them in. They cannot get out of this parlor. Suddenly, a German woman breaks through the closet. This bitch just slams out of the closet, tied up, gagged, and she gets her. They're all kind of sitting there going, "What is happening? Our friend's dead, and there's this German woman. What the fuck?" So she just comes piling on out, and she's like, he kidnapped me! He drugged me, and he kidnapped me! That's who was in the closet, who was making the noises. I was trying to get out. Immediately, Paul is like, oh no, bitch, you are a Nazi, and I'm going to shoot you. And she's like, hold on, what is happening? Paul immediately holds a gun on her, and Paul and Archie then, because Archie's not having it either, because he just came out of like, being like shooting Germans, and now there's one standing here, and he's immediately like, no, you tell us you're not a Nazi, prove that you're not a Nazi. And Bob and Marla, they want to let her go. They're like, this is insane. And at one point, Marla says, Hitler's dead, Paul. You're fighting a pile of ashes. And he's kind of like, who says it's over? I'm like, oh, for fuck, this is where we're gonna go? We're gonna go with this, Paul? Okay, get your brass balls out. Cool. Archie's asking, like, why Hawk would keep her in the closet and not the basement. You find out he wanted them to find her because he started to believe Susie's bullshit after she died. He started to believe that this woman and her husband and her children were Nazis. So he wants them to kill her. Cool. Cool, Hawk. Cool flex. Awesome. We also learned that Hawk was a bit of a bitch. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, I'm gonna. They're all pretty much like, yeah, he had all his bluster and everything. He had us kill for him. He wouldn't do it himself. That's why she's here. Is because he couldn't do it himself. He wanted Archie, the war criminal, to kill her. And you find out what actually Archie did. I'm not going to go into it because I think it takes away from the movie if I were to spoil it for you. Just know it's fucking awful. And so they have, like, it's pretty much the standoff until the end of the movie. We do this horrific torture scene, or interrogation / torture scene, where Marla's, like, so upset that she has to, and they make her interrogate this Hildy, and she's trying to keep her shit together because she's like, oh my god. She in fact quietly says, I know you're not a Nazi, but they're not going to let you out of this room unless you prove it. And she goes, so just answer my questions as truthfully as you can, because, as she said, this is going to hurt, but it's not going to be, you're not going to be dead. You know what? Remember when you in history class when they talked about what the Russians did to their prisoners? We did that too. Awesome. Like pins and wood, when splinters underneath nails, those kind of things. Yeah, that happens in this movie. That's as far as I'm going to go, because there is a little bit of a twist, not a twist, sort of a twist. It's very ambiguous. The ending is really ambiguous, so I want to leave it up to what I don't want to lean you anyway to certain characters and what's going on with them. So the things I liked about the movie were the acting is just fucking brilliant. I mean, I think it's really awesome to see some of these characters that are just like a lot of times just character actors or like third or fourth tier in a production or a TV show or whatever, actors really getting to showcase their talent. The guy who plays Paul also has the coolest name, fucking Ezra Buzzington. Excellent. And like you've seen him in things, but like he's never the lead. He's great in this. He is like such a fucking douchebag as Paul that you want to shoot him yourself. Like, oh my god. And of course, fucking Anne Ramsey. I mean, everybody's great in here. Ron Raines, again, it's one of those actors like I've seen him in something. He's great as her husband. I will definitely say Larry Fessenden is just fucking mwah in this. And Christina Klebe plays Hildy, and she's great too. I mean, the cast is just fucking stellar. Things I didn't like about it, again, you have suspension of disbelief with ages, because I was like, I don't think they knew where to go with this. And it could just be like they just didn't think a younger cast could carry the material. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I didn't like the ambiguous sort of ending, but it works because I'm still thinking about it. The fucking special effects are great. There is a sense of dread that you have. Again, you just kind of be like, therapy's great. Therapy's great. So, and and I think a lot of people forget the atrocities that we ourselves did to people during World War II. I mean, we've always kind of done horrible shit to each other. And I mean us, like Americans. Look at we had concentration camps during Civil War, so look at that. And check out Andersonville, and we also had one in the north too. So we did horrible things to each other. But I think a lot of us forget about that. There's things that like I think make you think a little bit. But yeah, I would say totally recommend it. Rating system. So one is blood and gore. Oh Jesus, I'm gonna put this up there. I'm gonna say 3 because that fucking head wound. Woo! And the ectoplasm and a couple other things happen that are like, holy shit, it's gnarly. I mean, again, not Evil Dead or fucking Dead Alive levels of blood and gore, but up there. It's pretty like it's not something you're gonna see on Sci-Fi. Let's just say that. Sex and nudity, there is none. Spooky, scary. I'm gonna say just for it's tense. This movie is tense. I'm gonna give it a 2.5, just because it is. You do not know what is going to happen. You know what? I'm gonna pump that up to 3. Pump it up, pump it up. This is me trying to start a car. What was that fucking movie? I can't remember right now. I'm riding a horse, but also trying to start my car. No, it was Phantom of the Mall. Phantom of the Mall. Boo 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 boo. Boo 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 boo. So yeah, I was bump it up to 3 because yeah, it is kind of like terrifying when you don't know it's coming from inside the house, or if it's all of somebody's imagination, or if it's people going through shared trauma. Who knows? It's wild. Cold Black Hearts. I think it's only 4. Yeah. Cold Black Hearts. I had a blast with this, so I'm gonna say 3. I think it's definitely worth a watch. You know, I would. I can't believe if someone was like, I was bored. I'm like, how? How are you bored? Something happens literally. There's never a downtime. The most boring part is the beginning when they're just drinking and talking. But they get into that seance pretty quickly. So, like, it moves. It moves from, because they cover a lot of ground in very little time. So yeah, I would totally recommend it. We got an episode coming up next week. We are going to be watching, we've already watched, and oh god, The Craft and the Covenant. So yay! Special stand. If check out our links to our socials in this in our account, and subscribe if you like this. If you you want to hear me fucking blather for a little bit longer, on some certain other topics, we're gonna be seeing The Blackening next week, so we'll have a review on that. I'm very excited. It looks really funny. Check back. But until then, keep it spooky.